Howdy, folks. Woody Wells from NeedCoffee.com here. Back again for another Wayhomer review. Here's how it works for the just this. It's Atlanta. It's warm. For the uninitiated, here's how it works. I've just seen a film in the theater. You can't see it. It's that way past the Lexus. And I'm going to tell you about it on my way home. And we're here today to talk about Captain America, the First Avenger. Okay, so, Captain America, what can we say? So, synopsis. It's World War II. And, well, I mean, it's World War II. So, in addition to the whole bit with Nazis and war in Europe and all that other good stuff, all the other stuff that's already bad, throw into that the fact that the Nazis have a quote-unquote deep science unit which is dedicated to coming up with new and interesting ways to smack the Allies. And that is headed up by this guy named Johann Schmidt. And you know Johann Schmidt is a bad guy because he's played by Hugo Weaving. And basically they're on the road to more badness. And the Allies, specifically the Americans, but the Allies, are trying to come up with some sort of a weapon of their own in the form of a super soldier. And they find Steve Rogers, who is a scrawny version of Chris Evans, to make into their super soldier and do. And that super soldier becomes Captain America, ready to kick some ass. That's good synopsis. Okay, so here's the deal. Well, two things as a setup. First of all, this is the last film before you get to the Avengers. And this is what Marvel has been leading towards since they started taking control of their own cinematic destiny. Creating something that I don't think we've seen in this way before. Basically creating a bunch of individual films that fit together like a big puzzle and create the movie equivalent of a comic book universe. There is a continuity between Marvel Studios films leading towards the Avengers, and then beyond. So Captain America is the last piece of the puzzle. They could have done a lot of things with this. They could have updated it like Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man has consistently been updated to whatever the most recent war is, which is fine. But no, they kept it in World War II. They kept it, since it's World War II, since it's Marvel, they gave you some of the Howling Commandos. You know this, you've seen them in the trailer. They gave you a lot of stuff by keeping it in World War II and not doing something crazy with it like, I don't know, just, they could have done anything with it. You know, basically the superhero equivalent of when they originally were going to do Harry Potter and set it in the U.S. They were going to do that. And then probably Rowling said, "What? Are you high?" But anyway, so you have this last piece of the puzzle. You need Captain America to do the Avengers movie, and the Avengers movie is next. The other piece of it is because they have set it back in World War II, they have done an interesting little hybrid thing in that it is a contemporary film, but it has still a retro sensibility to it. There is a lot of pulp action going on, and they have done this by, I mean, the big machines and the soldiers and the fights and the whatever. It's still got a very pulpy feel, more than other films about people running around in spandex. But it completely works for what they're doing here. Now, the main question on everyone's mind is, as I phrase it, Marvel hit basically a home run with Iron Man. I mean, they literally just surprised everybody by making a movie that was that good. And they haven't been able to duplicate that since. I mean, Iron Man 2 didn't hit it. Thor didn't hit it. They're not bad movies. I mean, the new Hulk didn't do it. They're not bad movies, okay? They just weren't excellent. You've got different scales of superhero movies, right? And you've got decent, and then you've got, you've got decent, good, and then you've got The Dark Knight, right? Where it just completely transcends the genre and screws up the bell curve for everybody. But what you want with Marvel films now is you want something along that Iron Man level of performance. And the good news is I think you get that with this film. It's just very entertaining. Mostly that's due to, well, a couple things. First of all, everybody was like, I don't know, Chris Evans, I don't know. But Chris Evans has been, like, in a lot of comic book movies. He was in The Losers, he was in Scott Pilgrim, he was in Fantastic Four, and he's been consistently good in all of them. And he's good in this one, too. He makes a believable Captain America the way they're setting up the character. As this, just an average, nobody who wants to help. And you've seen it in the trailer. He's a good man who just, wants to become a warrior and does. So, so you've got Chris Evans, which really grounds it, but the writing is really good, and it knows what it's doing, and it knows what it is, and just sort of hits it dead on. And on top of that, too, you've got these comic book characters that have been written into the film, and they're played by people who know what they're doing as well. I mean, they're not pushing it too much. They're not being too cartoony. Even Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. I mean, he's not a cartoon villain. There is some actual menace going on there. But especially Stanley Tucci and Tommy Lee Jones are just fantastic when it comes to making their characters work in the context and supporting Chris Evans and what he's doing as Captain America. So that's really good. I mean, the action is good. I mean, the writing is good. The characters are likable. You understand what's going on. And you can watch this and not ever have read a Captain America comic at all. You don't have to have that background. Now, if you have the background, you pick up on cool little things that they've done to not only give nods to the comics, but potential for alternate stories, not alternate, but continuing stories. They've said that they could go back and do a World War II sequel to Captain America because there's an entire war of stories that could be told, and I would be totally fine with that. In fact, I would encourage that because it looks so cool. But no, I mean, they created a really well-crafted comic book movie that I think hits the Iron Man level. Now, part of the other thing, too, is, and I wrote the post about Captain America's, is, I read Captain America when I was a big Marvel junkie, and I enjoyed it and everything, but I really enjoyed, the Ultimate Captain America, who is just this badass who could, like I said, walk up and kick the Hulk in the nuts. I mean, I really like the idea of my Captain America being that badass, right? And while we never see him, I mean, he doesn't fight anybody like the Hulk, he is very obviously a badass. They have modeled this more on the Ultimate Cap than anything else, and I think to its benefit. Now, is it a perfect film? No. I mean, it would have been nice to have had more of Hugo Weaving. There are certain things that maybe are a little sketchy from a plot standpoint, but part of the strength of the film is that at least I was having so much fun, I didn't care. I've talked about before where if you want my brain to turn off, it will do so gladly because it needs a rest. But if you let it wake up again, it will be pissed off. My brain never completely went to sleep, but it was so busy with what was going on, and not in a stupid Michael Bay kind of, oh my god, I can't even motion track what's happening kind of way, but just in a, I am enjoying this so much, I'm not going to let nitpicky things bother me. And even as I'm thinking through, I'm like, they still don't even bother me because part of the strength of having it very pulpy is that, pulpy stuff didn't, I mean, my God, if you go back and read Golden Age comics and pulpy stuff and stuff like that, it, hardly ever made sense. Sense was not a prerequisite. But it never completely leaves the realism to the point where you just go, what in the hell am I watching? So no, it's good in that respect. A couple of other notes. There was some concern about scrawny Chris Evans, that it would look a little weird. Now, the CG isn't perfect when you consider that they didn't do the social network thing. They didn't put his face onto a scrawny person. They actually shrank him with CG. I was reading about that. Is it perfect? No. There's a couple of bits where you can just go, yeah, I can see where that's not working completely. But again, you don't care because, I mean, 85% of the time, it's pretty spot on. The other piece is that, what was the other piece? Oh, the 3D. The 3D, while nice, was not critical. If you wanted to go see this and save a few bucks, you would be okay not seeing it in 3D. They didn't abuse it. It was really nice. It had a good depth of field in a lot of places. Sadly, I'm sorry, it wasn't as good as the 3D in Transformers. Because just Transformers had more going on and was really playing it up. But again, maybe it's because I was so desperate to find something good in Transformers that's why I grabbed onto the 3D like a drowning man. But anyway, so no, I mean it's good. It's quite good actually. It's good fun. It's a good setup for the Avengers. I try not to read other reviews before I do these things. I was seeing some headlines about. It's basically just a prequel for the Avengers. Yeah, and what's wrong with that, right? I mean, I don't. You would have to be very, very cynical to look at this film and not enjoy it for what it is, and not also marvel, no pun intended, at the place that it fits in with everything else. So, I actually really enjoyed it. Now, from a Cup point of view, I don't know. I'm going to think about it. It's at least a 4, if not a 4.5. I will digest that, and I will get back to you if you look on the actual site. Hopefully you're watching this on the site. But if you're watching this on YouTube, just go to the site, and you'll see what the eventual Cup score was. But that's what I got. Captain America, oh man, it is a great film. It is pretty much exactly what I wanted. And I had a great time, and I'm very happy with it. And if they bring that same sensibility, if they bring their Iron Man and Captain America game to the Avengers, man, they're gonna make DC look like morons. I mean, granted, you got Dark Knight coming from DC, but DC knows how to do individual things. They don't know how to do a universe. It's amazing. So there you have it. I appreciate everybody who watches these things and shares them. If you share these on StumbleUpon, if you share them on Facebook, if you retweet this, if you share this with someone, if you pass it on, then you make me smile. And I have a beard, so when I smile, it looks bizarre. And it's fun. So anyway, that's it. Until next time, I will say bye.